What time is this?
I'm a fighter. I'm a competitor. We're going to have some fun tonight.
Never again will I take a backseat to anybody in this business. Now, it's Magnus time.
We the people.
I'm a Carter, and the world needs us.
I'm the beast and the best.
Paul, say something stupid.
I'm afraid I've got some bad news.
Tonight I am personally going to make sure what happens is best for business.
SAWFT soft. Ladies and gentlemen, wrestling to the max.
And here's your hosts, Gary Vaughn, Sean Garmer, and Paul Lazar.
Welcome everybody to Wrestling to the Max Extra number 3. And here is what we have for you this evening.
Wrestling to the max.
NXT Arrival.
Preliminary diagnosis, skin cancer. There's a lump behind my knee, and all of a sudden there's a quadrupled in size in less than a month. What form, they don't know yet. How bad is it, they don't know yet. They got to take it off.
Welcome to WrestleMania! WrestleMania 30.
People see you on TV for so long and then they don't see you. It's almost like you've died, you know, and so when they see you again, it's like a family reunion. So, man, it's very rewarding to me.
And history's being made right now with the launch of the WWE Network.
Alrighty, Gary, do what you do.
Yes, thank you, Sean, and welcome once again, like Sean said, to another YouTube Extra. We are glad to have you today. Yes, I'm going to do something that may make all our loyal listeners angry or tired, but hey, I'm going to do it anyway. I just want you guys who are fresh to our show, listening to us on YouTube, maybe you typed in something like Wrestling to the Max, and you just didn't know what you'd find. You found us. Well, hey, we're a show, usually a 3-hour show, but hey, today this is just a special little thing, so we want you to join us on every Monday night. We do a full show. We do Raw, NXT, TNA. We cover all the big news. We do all the fun stuff. So if you're expecting this to be our normal type show, it's not. We do so much more than what we're going to do today. But today's a special treat. You're getting it, and for all our loyal fans who listen to us every week, we're going to cover NXT Arrival. We're going to give NXT a lot more time than we usually get to. So this will be very special. And of course, we're going to talk about the network. There were a few problems that happened during Arrival. You'll hear us talk about it, maybe even complain a little bit, but that's okay. They're trying very hard. It's brand new. It's a brand new network. Digital stuff is not very easy coming out. You know, we've seen the problems that the video game companies have, PS4, Xbox. So hey, it's going to happen. As well as we're going to cover some big news, especially with the stuff with Jake the Snake Roberts having surgery. His inductee, the guy who's going to induct him into the Hall of Fame, was actually revealed. Plus, ROH has a few guys maybe missing in the future because WWE is going to look at them pretty soon here. Who are those guys? We'll tell you all that and more on this episode. But guys, we want to jump into NXT Arrival. This was such a fun show, a big show. We were all excited about it. So let's go ahead and jump into that topic right now.
First, we got to pay some bills.
Oh, you want to do that? Let's do it.
Wrestling to the Max is brought to you by DirtSheets.com Radio, the home for all your wrestling news, reviews, and hot wrestling opinions. Only on DirtSheets.com Radio.
WWE Developmental NXT.
Alrighty, well, this was NXT Arrival, the NXT's first ever live special, sort of pay-per-view type thing. And considering what we got with no commercials, no lag time, no just play around and say a bunch of things, it almost was really like getting a 3-hour Raw but in 2 hours. So, the thing started with Triple H and Dark telling us that we're ready for NXT Arrival, and we were told during the pre-show, which I guess we can talk a little bit about the pre-show. I really enjoyed it, other than Kevin Nash was obviously drunk or
something,
drugged or something. Bret Hart was his normal, stuttering self, and Paul Heyman was his normal smooth self. Of course, Paul Heyman's used to being down there with those guys, and I like the fact that he kind of played around with the Paul Heyman guy thing, still using that, so that was cool. I like the fact that it was outside. You had the crowd right there. It felt like college game day.
Yeah.
I wish WWE could do that on their regular shows. I know probably there's issues with talent and stuff coming in and, cars whizzing by and stuff like that, but that was pretty cool for NXT to be able to do that. What did you guys think of the pre-show?
I really enjoyed it, exactly as you thought. The outside thing was really cool. Because NXT fans are already loud for shows, but outside they're even louder. They had Heyman go down there and talk to some people. I thought that was pretty neat. And you got the two people he talked to were really good representations of NXT fans, because they're there to see the whole show. They're not looking forward to one specific match, and it might be just because of how awesome this card was built. But it was. I loved it. I thought it was great.
Yeah, and I agree. I think it's kind of funny because I expected when you ask a fan, hey, what match are you looking forward to? I expected a few fanboys out there to say, oh, I can't wait to see Cesaro, or hey, Tyler Breeze is on this show, or big fans of his or something like that. And I guess the fans were really true. They wanted to see the whole thing. I wanted to see the whole thing, so I totally felt them on that. I think the pre-show went pretty well. It's kind of fun in a way. Even when we watched the Raw pre-show this last week, we got the opportunity to see some veterans talk about what was going to happen and kind of have a little fun with it. I like it, and they're really doing a good job, I think, right now. Maybe in the future we'll have a different opinion, but I think these veterans on the panel are just having a good time. I don't care if Kevin Nash was drunk; it was still fun to listen to him, And I think they had made some great choices. Bret Hart, of course, is always fun to listen to, and hey, Paul Heyman is, like Sean said, smooth as ice.
Yeah, it was a nice thing, just because it also made NXT feel important. You have pre-shows for all the other shows, Raw, SmackDown, and the pay-per-views and whatever, and it's nice to know that they felt NXT was of the same importance that they gave it a pre-show. And I felt like, along with the This Is NXT special and the pre-show and the entire show itself, if you've never watched NXT before, this was a perfect way to get into NXT. I read a bunch of Facebook posts and comments from other, websites and stuff that there was people that decided to watch NXT for the first time. There was a couple that watched with their kids, and they said they just fell in love with NXT after watching the show. So, it obviously does give lofty expectations. Not every episode of NXT is like this. But there are quite a few, that are just kind of middling episodes of NXT. But it's really awesome to know that they can have specials like this. And hell, if they wanted to have 4 awesome NXT pay-per-views a year or something just for the network, man, I would be totally on that. But
Oh yeah.
Let's get on to the show itself. We started with Sami Zayn and Antonio Cesaro. I'm catching myself saying Antonio still. Man, if they could not have picked a more perfect opener. It was the feud that had the biggest story, the most stuff going on for it, the one that had the legendary match from 2013 that was in many, top 5 match of the years for a lot of people. It was for us, so they had a lot to live up to here. Then there was, of course, the story with Sami Zayn wanting to beat Cesaro really bad. It was the one thing that was holding him back in his career, as he would say. Cesaro was trying to just put Zayn behind him, and you could just tell the story from, minute one. It was going on till the end, and it was just wonderfully told. Just all the things going on in the match, just great. And then the fans, of course, help along as well. What did you guys think?
If you've never seen an indie crowd before in your life, this is about as close as you're going to get in a WWE universe. They were totally into everything these two guys were doing. There's the 6 spot after 6 spot. Catching Zayn coming through the turnbuckles and hitting him with an uppercut. Zayn doing dives. This finish was particularly brutal. Zayn just won't stay down until Cesaro hits him with the very European uppercut into the neutralizer. And everything sort of just came together in this 20-25 minute match, however long it went. And I'm going to put it right up there with HBK Undertaker at WrestleMania 25 as one of the best matches I've ever seen in my life.
Wow, and that's a pretty high rating, man. That's great. And you know what? I'm pretty close to where you're at too, Paul. I really thoroughly enjoyed this match. I thought it was, a match that every second you were wanting to know what happened next. You were into it. You never wanted to leave your seat for a second. I think this is proof that these two guys have some chemistry that's beyond the chemistry that we usually see in wrestling. Tell me, have these guys wrestled before quite often in the Indies?
ROH.
Was it
ROH? They were both on the Man Up show.
Okay, so see, these guys have had history, and I guess that shows in what they're doing now. But I'm just saying that they have more chemistry than I've ever seen. I think right now, of course, you guys have been watching wrestling, a lot more wrestling than I have. But just in my point of view, they have had some of the best chemistry I've ever seen.
Yeah, I think it's also just, I think they both just know, it's not just the chemistry, it's knowing what you're going to do, knowing effectively how you want to tell your story. And I actually, most people will complain that, the first match had a lot more, less, downtime or whatever. I felt like the downtime with the working on Zayn's leg and throwing him outside and all that told part of it too. Cesaro was kind of just throwing him out there because he has already beaten him before plenty of times. He's feeling, you're not up to my level. I know I can beat you. You're never going to beat me. I'm not taking you seriously here. And Zayn, through the match, makes him take him seriously. Like, how are you going to put down Zayn? He does the swing. He does the very European uppercut, and he kicks out at 1. He keeps just doing more stuff to him. The sick backbreaker. Cesaro just keeps on, and Zayn keeps getting up, and then Zayn keeps giving him stuff. They had the really awesome near fall with the Mysterio bomb. That was awesome. It's just, it was incredible to watch. It's something that there is no way we can describe this to you other than it's worth your $10 to go watch this on the network. And you know what? It's $10 to watch this one match, and then you can go visit millions of other great matches from other eras too. As Josh put it on the Facebook pages, I felt like I just earned my $10 watching this right here, and I kind of agree with them on there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, what did you think about the ending when they hugged? I just thought that was a lot of respect. I thought it was kind of cool because Cesaro's been on the kick of being the heel, kind of treating Zayn bad. I think it's kind of neat that they put that in there.
I think it is very cool. The NXT crowd tell them to hug it out, and they do, which is always funny. But I think Cesaro, whenever you bring in NXT to the main stage now, and I guess I shouldn't really call the network the main stage, but a lot more people are going to be watching now. You kind of have to follow some, if you're going to bring these main roster guys down, you're going to have to follow some of what's happening on there. And Cesaro's teasing a face turn, I think this adds a lot to that as well.
Yeah, it does, and I think, part of it's, these guys have so much history, and it's been said in the feud, it's never been named exactly what it was, but, they even played it up with Zayn having new tights that have all the little flags of where he wrestled, and, I like that too. I wonder if the Matadors watched this and thought, God, I wish we could get Olay chants like that, but
I bet something.
I mean, I wonder if they're going to try to suppress that when he comes up to the main roster. I mean, they've already kind of thrown the Matadors out there for nothing. I mean, they show up a main event, but it doesn't mean anything. I mean, it's okay, I believe Torito won that freaking 10-man tag on main event. But either way,
yeah.
The point is that it was nice. It's for the people that know the history of these guys, that know where they come from, how long they've been around each other, and how far the story has gone. And it was about respect, right? William Regal said it. It's not necessarily that Zayn wanted to win, but he didn't win. And Cesaro kind of gave him that respect of, hey, you didn't win, but you can go on with your career now. You gave me a hell of a match. I think that was the point of it at the end.
Yeah, and I agree with what you said earlier, Sean, about the fact this is the perfect way to start the show. Because, like we've all been pointing out, I mean, there are new eyes on this product, and they are honestly not expecting very much. They're thinking, okay, these are a bunch of people. I don't know anybody. They're probably not going to be very good. And when this is your first match, I mean, you've already given them something that they don't really get to see on Raw, to be honest with you, on a regular basis. You know what I mean? So I think that whoever was booking this was very smart.
Right. Well, after that thing that totally took the air out of your lungs, you would need a cool-down match. So we hear the music of CJ Parker, and I start all going, oh, really? I didn't need that much of a cool-down. But, at least he's good for the environment, right? But then I get tired again all of a sudden very quickly with Mojo Rawley coming out and freaking running everywhere. And when I mean everywhere, he runs everywhere. I seriously feel like I got gassed watching him run around the ring. It's no joke.
Me too.
I mean, I made the comment on the Facebook group that he's crazier than Ultimate Warrior. But to me, part of it was I was thinking, I know they love Mojo, and they're kind of trying to get CJ Parker over as a heel, and you can kind of hear a little bit. I think there was a little bit, some few guys that were trying to, when they would chant of "Let's go Mojo," they'd be like, CJ Parker, like, really? Okay. But still, at least it's working in some capacity. I was hoping for Aiden English and Colin Cassidy rematch, since they have a storyline going on, and Aiden English can kind of cool you down with his singing, and it's somebody else that they get to see that is kind of new and has a gimmick that's interesting and whatever. But I guess I can't be a total, meanie head about who they pick and choose. It's not like I don't really dislike anybody on NXT, and that's a lot for me to say, because there are quite a few on WWE that we'd rather not see on a weekly basis, and they happen to show up all the time.
Do you think that they're saving some of these other guys that we would probably enjoy to maybe get people to watch next week? Maybe to say, oh, you didn't know we had this guy. You can watch them in the week after.
They really didn't show you any of the guys, unless you watch the pre-show, and they kind of did a little bit. But on the actual show, I mean, other than the Corey Graves sighting in the intro, everybody that they showed you was either in the intro or they've talked about ad nauseum between all the shows that they have. And I mean, we got them, we got Xavier Woods, even if it was for a second. We got Tyler Breeze for a second. They actually didn't even mention Russo anymore because he's supposed to be on the main roster, and because they're not debuting him until after WrestleMania 30, which is a smart move because no one's going to care at this point if you debut him before then.
Yep.
They just kind of have him, I guess, waste a segment, or I don't know if they realized they had less time than they thought they did. I don't know.
I mean, but explain that to me. Explain to me why that they didn't show the rest of the roster for NXT at least. Is it my theory of maybe they're saving the prize down at the bottom of the cereal box, or are they just honestly focusing on who they have on the night?
I think this is very deliberate booking, because we all know, if you've watched NXT before, the live crowd goes absolutely nuts for Aiden English, and Lord knows you don't want them to be exhausted before you even get to, halfway through the show. And they love Colin Cassidy too. He even got soft chants whenever they were trying to announce who the mystery tag team was. So I think this is just deliberate booking. They know people are kind of into Mojo, and CJ's kind of on the fence about whether somebody likes him or not, maybe. So, I mean, personally, I needed the cool-down match. I'm in my room freaking out watching this show when my parents are out there going, dude, what are you doing? And I'm like, I'm watching the show, dude. I mean, it's awesome. So.
No, but I mean, like, you know, Mojo kind of gets crazy with all his running around, and at least Aiden English walks slow to the ring and sings and whatever, you know.
Yeah, but I mean, that live crowd would have been into everything English was doing, though, so I think this was just smart booking.
Yeah, it was. Every time I see Mojo, I just want a 5-hour energy, so.
That's what he's supposed to do.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, the match didn't take very long. It was about 5 minutes. Didn't get much out of CJ Parker, really. It was more Mojo. I'm still going to say it until he changes it. Please stop using the rear view. It's terrible. It's not manly, and I'm just, it sickens me, honestly. And then the earthquake thing. Paul said it. I mean, he doesn't have the size to make me think that that's going to work, and it's stupid. You're going to hyperdrive by sitting on somebody, really? When I'm thinking of anything that involves drive, I'm thinking about a driver, something you drive somebody down with, not like, oh, I sat on you, okay? You're not Yoko, you're not Rikishi, you know, you're not Earthquake. Those are superhuman heavyweights that would really kill you if they sat on you. I mean, Mojo just, and it doesn't even look like he sits on him either. He kind of half-assed does it, so I'm kind of like,
yeah.
All right, man.
I mean, I get the point, because, you know, Mojo is supposed to be this unstoppable train of energy, and you can still do that. It's just the way he goes about his finish needs some retooling. Like, do what, you know, Ultimate Warrior used to do, you know, press slam into the splash was fine, but, you know, he likes the stinger splash in the corner, and that's fine, so you have them come out, maybe he clotheslines him and then finishes with a splash, and that's it. You know, I'd buy that a lot more.
Yeah, do the just regular splash like Mark Henry used to do, you know, and it works.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree. And I don't know.
But he does need to have some kind of move where he picks him up and stuff like that. You can't just run around and clothesline people and splash them in the corner or whatever. That's not really going to entice too many people when you get to the main roster.
Yeah.
I think if you do it fast enough, it'll be okay.
Mm-hmm. I think that he should come up with some inventive finisher. Maybe something where he's whipping him rope to rope to, you know, maybe to all four, you know, sides of the ring, and then maybe he has some kind of crazy clothesline or some kind of dive. I don't know, something that would be new, because right now the energy thing is supposed to be his gimmick.
Hell, do the pounce.
Yeah, that would work.
Yeah.
Yeah, something like that. Just something that would be high energy and match what they're doing and what they're doing right now. It's okay, but it's not really, honestly, great.
Right. After this, we went straight into another. We were told a little bit before it was or the show started that we were going to have a tag team title match, but we weren't given the Ascension's opponents. They did a very good job of having a hype video here for. Actually, we'll just go ahead and wrap this up in one segment here. They did a hype video of almost everybody that you're going to see on the show. Other than, you know, like Breeze and Xavier Woods and Rusev, because you see them for literally seconds. Everybody that actually had a match on the show got like a little video. What did you guys think? You know, I thought they were pretty all done pretty well. And WWE, come on, man. You made this special one for Emma and you don't show this on Raw. If I watch this, I totally understand who Emma is, and I get behind her, not the crap you've been showing.
Yeah, I think the packages that had, you know, that involved feuds that had a lot of steam behind them, which was most of the card, worked out really well. Paige and Emma, I mean, they focused so much on them, it was ridiculous, both in the pre-show and throughout the main show. And you didn't really get a lot of Bo Dallas, Adrian Neville build until their actual match came up. And then, I mean, everybody was already hyped for Zayn and Cesaro, so I think it was, smart placement too. But I mean, the Ascension one was neat. I mean, if you didn't know that these guys were going to be bulldozers by the looks of them, you need to get your eyes checked a little bit, because Conor O'Brien still looks scary. I don't care what anybody says.
Yeah, Victor looks scary too.
Yeah.
I didn't realize Victor was so much older than Conor, but yeah. What a shot to TNA, right? They happen to do show Davey Richards getting whacked by one of them.
Really?
No. I was reading stuff and somebody was like, "Isn't it so sad that this NXT Arrival set looks so much better than anything in the Impact Zone?"
Mm-hmm. I totally agree with that, because I was kind of looking at it like, man, this just looks classy. It looks nice. In fact, my wife, happened to be in the room when I was watching it, and she goes, "Okay, well, thought this was WWE. Is this a different company?" No, this is not. She goes, "Oh, it looks good," and that's because it's, she knows what TNA looks like, and trust me, she knows it wasn't TNA. She's like, "What other company are you watching?" I'm like, "No, this is WWE." So.
Yeah, I told my wife, I was like, "So do you want to go to a TNA show?" She's like, "Is that other company that has that woman that talks all the time?" I was like, "Yeah." She's like, I don't think I want to go to that."
Hard to blame her.
Yeah. The tag team title match wound up being Too Cool against the Ascension. It was cool seeing Too Cool back. Scotty did have a singles match at one point, way back when NXT first showed up on Full Sail. It was one of those surprise things. We had no idea he was going to be there. Now he's completely bald, which is funny. He still actually looks pretty decent. Grandmaster, he's showing that age. He wasn't that great anyway, but he's showing it a little bit about as bad as the Outlaws are right about now. Scotty still looks like he can go a little bit. Of course, they did the heelish thing of taking you away from being able to see the worm in its full completion. But, you got what you get out of Too Cool, honestly, and the Ascension got to do a little bit more than doing a squash, so I was happy about that.
Yeah.
I mean, this did serve its purpose. I mean, the Ascension gets to look brutal. I like their finish is pretty neat. It reminds me a lot of Total Elimination from the Eliminators in ECW. I mean, Scotty Too Hottie, I know, still wrestles sometimes on the indies. And I don't know how much Brian Christopher / Grandmaster Sexay still wrestles. It is what it is. The Ascension gets to look good, and that's really what matters out of this.
Yeah, I mean, as soon as I heard Too Cool's music, I knew what was going to happen. I was like, yep, death is about to happen. But the interesting thing is I think that, Paul alluded to, Scotty is also a firefighter, and so he has to keep in shape. He also wrestles, indie shows when he can, when it's on his schedule. And I think Brian, I hear, eats cheeseburgers. So that's probably the difference right now with those guys. But long story short, I mean, we got what we got, the Ascension winning, and I think it really...
Oh, come on, everybody eats cheeseburgers every now and then, Gary.
Oh, I know, but, I'm just making a joke. Yeah, it's more of his dad. It's more of a Jerry the King Lawler joke, I guess. But it runs in the genes. But long story short, my whole point about this whole thing is we keep talking. This is the theme of the night, new people watching. And I think this is something they wanted to do to kind of get the Ascension and burn in people's memory of, hey, these guys are kind of creepy. They're kind of scary. We remember another guy like, Undertaker's kind of like that. These guys are pretty awesome. They kind of do the whole, dark, demonic kind of theme. And I think they were probably really getting these guys hyped up. So, I mean, it did its purpose.
I like that they don't play that much to the really gothic crap that they used to do. I like that they're a little more serious. They do the, lights and the colors and the blue stuff or whatever, but they don't overemphasize it. I will say that the set with all the lights, I felt like I was about to get epilepsy at one point. God, it was way too much at once.
Oh, come on, Sean. You watch anime. That shouldn't have bothered you.
I know, but seriously, it was getting a little bit... No, especially with the PS3 with the Super HD freaking thing that was going on, where I felt like the lights were popping out of my TV. Seriously, I was watching between that PS3 and the computer. I could tell the total difference. Like I was like, wow, the colors are just so much more brighter on the TV with the PS3 playing. Anyway, props to WWE though for making that HD feed really good, and it works when it really does work. I mean, there's not lag at all, honestly. There's a couple times where it like repeats a couple seconds because it's trying to reset itself, but other than that, I mean, we'll get to the problem in a little bit later, but mostly the thing went lag free. I was going to have one more point about this that I wanted to make, and I'm completely blanking right now. Oh yeah. Can we please make a tag division in NXT? These guys have nobody to wrestle. It's so annoying seeing tag team titles and they can't do anything with them.
Shh, that's a secret, Sean. The people that just joined aren't supposed to know that.
I don't care. If you haven't watched NXT and you're listening right now, go tell WWE they need to make a tag division for NXT, because I mean, you can debut some of these guys you don't think are ready in tag teams just to have tag teams around. I mean, you know, you can't just have Unico and Camacho just, showing up when Unico's not doing Sin Cara, which they're about to sue him, by the way.
Oh boy. It's so sad that, not long ago, Sean, it just, in my memory, I remember us talking about NXT, talking about how excited we were because they had some young tag teams. They were actually doing it right when the main roster wasn't. And they just totally just went down to the bottom of the barrel. This is awful, and I agree with you.
It's all Oliver Gray's fault.
That's right.
I mean, all those young tag
teams. Don't get
injured,
man, damn it.
Yep, you're right, Paul. They're all... They flip-flopped, so...
Yeah, they got to go somewhere, and the main show's the only way to go after this. So, I mean, I'm sure we'll get some more. It's just going to take them some time.
Yeah.
Exactly. But moving on, we get to this Divas Championship match, which we have long been awaiting, the rematch for Emma and Paige. Paige got hurt when they were supposed to do it, and then they just kept delaying it, and we get Emma and Paige on this, and... a lot of people were thinking, hey, for one, were any of y'all surprised that Zayn didn't win the match against Cesaro? Because that's what I thought they were leading up to.
I thought it was sort of, it could go either way. I wasn't surprised, really, that Cesaro won, because like I said, I mean, it's the same reason why I think they opened with it, too. I mean, they have all these new eyes, and eyes that probably watch the main product, so if you have Cesaro lose here, I don't know if it makes them look weak in their eyes. But, I mean, it definitely makes Zayn look good against, he took a main guy to the limit, so.
Mm-hmm. I totally agree with that. And it's the fact that Cesaro right now is on I would call it almost a mini run to really trying to see what he can do and how close to that main event he can get, having right there in the upper echelon. Him losing to Zayn would not do him any favors. I don't think, after watching this match, I don't think anybody out there is going to say that Sami Zayn didn't do a great job and shouldn't have won that match.
Right. So, the Divas match, they got about, I'd say, 12-13 minutes, which is way longer than the Divas ever even dream of getting, even if they had 20 Divas in a Battle Royal. This was just so good because they played the story of these two know each other so well. They knew each other's moves. They blocked each other's moves. Emma couldn't do any of her signature moves for a while because Paige kept blocking them. Emma kicks out of the Paige turner. I love the ode to the first match where Paige tries to do superplex and then Emma blocks it and does the, is able to block it and do something. I can't remember what it was. And she eventually does that powerbomb, which is awesome. It gets the better than Batista chant, which the announcers were told to totally no sell. They went completely quiet when that was going on. And that's one thing I'll say. Normally I have something bad to say about the commentary trying to be too much Michael Cole and JBL. Tonight they were spot on. They were an indie commentary team. They gave you instruction. They tried to tell you what's going on in the ring. They told you the names of the moves. William Regal is so much better than Tensai at this kind of thing, where he's just so good at telling you how he feels about the wrestlers and what they do so well and everything. So props to the production and the commentary team too. They just did a really good job. But what y'all think about that and the match as well, the Divas match?
I completely agree with you about the commentary team. I was so psyched when I saw Regal show up in the first shot of the announce booth. Byron Saxton was much better than he was on the last NXT. So hopefully whoever was telling him what to say has been fired or pushed away or something, because it was awful. And then Tom Phillips. I mean, I've really come to like him a lot more than the last guy they had, whose name I can't even remember. So good news there. As for the women's title match, I mean, I really enjoyed it too. Paige is so ready for the main roster. It's like blaringly apparent. One of my favorite spots, she had Emma through the ropes and just a series of knees to the side of the head, and Emma sold it like a champ, and Paige looked like a giant badass. And that's really like her MO. She's a great wrestler. She's not your average diva, and she definitely looks the part. Emma is still great. I mean, if you didn't know why she does her little crazy dancing stuff, I mean, this is a great exposure for her. I think this might actually turn her around for the Raw show or SmackDown. Hopefully the next time we see her on live TV, we'll have more people doing the Emma dance, because, I mean, I still do it in my chair when I watch the show. It's awesome.
Still need that footage. No, I mean, I agree totally with you guys on commentary. I don't have to really say anything else about that. But the only thing I will say is, anytime I hear William Regal on commentary, I'm already sold. This match, I mean, it was really good. I really enjoyed it from start to finish, and it did tell a story. I think it's kind of silly, but one of my favorites parts of it is when the meltdown. And I call it a meltdown just because, after the Paige turn was kicked out, I mean, Paige was just sitting there. She was really, selling the fact that she was upset. She almost looked like she was torn apart. And I thought that was really cool. I thought that was a great job.
Yeah, because she really doesn't know what to do after that, right? Because she's never had that happen.
Yeah, she's the total anti-diva. I mean, and so she's used to basically ripping apart each person who steps in the ring with her. And now she's faced with this adversity, and I loved it. I thought it was great. I think they'll really show well on her, and probably get her moved up, even quicker if people
and
really...
it forced her to have to do that really sick submission that made Emma look like she was bending all sorts of terrible wrong ways. It was...
People are not supposed to bend that way.
Yeah, that was insane.
And you know what?
That being said, Emma looked like a badass too. I mean, you see that bubbly stuff that you see with Santino on Raw, and you're like, "Whoa, who's this chick?"
Oh yeah, yeah. She really showed that she had more skills than I think a lot of people that have seen her in the past few weeks on Raw would ever think that she had. And we've seen it before on NXT, so we do kind of have some some insight. But I
think I never seen her have that mean streak kind of thing. It seemed like she was kind of taking the heel role and saying, "Okay, I'm going to do this," and she embraced it. And Paige ended up winning because it makes sense. Emma's on the main roster now; she doesn't need the title. What do y'all think about, Paige changing her music, and she now has red lipstick instead of black lipstick? They kind of brightened up her colors. It's not so dark. She still has the black hair and the black jacket. Like the change or no?
I mean, the makeup change sort of, I mean, she's already pretty pale. It made her look paler, but I thought that just sort of accentuated how different she actually is, which I thought was nice. I like the new song, so it didn't really bother me. I mean, the metal one's good. I like this one. It's more like chicky glam rock, and I think that fits more of what WWE wants instead of just being like crazy hardcore metal, which also would have fit Paige too. So.
Oh yeah, I totally understand that, and Emma was able to go to the main roster because everything that she had and what she did fit the entertainment side and the look for WWE. I think Paige kind of had a little bit of things that need to be touched up just to match that same quota. I mean, it's okay. The music was fine. I didn't have a problem with it. I think the lipstick is just, like I said, a property that they want to kind of brighten her up a little bit. But I think they're still going to get what they get out of Natalya, and that's just a pure wrestler, someone who's really, knows what they're doing in the ring and can really prove it. But they're sure, they're going to change it up a little bit, make it more on the entertainment side. So I get this, why they're doing it.
Yeah, I'm glad they let her keep, the things that do make her her, and Because I think when she debuts, she has the potential to be like AJ and get a lot of girls, on her side and use her as a role model. Because she has that look that a lot of, certain girls do, especially like in high school and stuff like that, that they're the outsider, they're the one that's not goes with everybody else, but they feel they're good. They should be taken seriously just as, the popular girls do. And so I think there's a lot of money to be made there with Paige, as there is with Emma, but I think Paige is going to be able to strike that chord with a certain kind of audience, and that's going to help her along the way. But we move on here. This is where we had the... at one point here, we had the awkward segment because I was sitting here thinking, okay, we've got like 45 minutes left. And the only guy we haven't seen that I really think that the people need to see is Tyler Breeze. So you hear Xavier Woods' music, he comes out, which, once again, whatever they have Xavier Woods do here on NXT, he looks totally more convincing than he does in whatever he does in WWE. Breeze is his opponent, which made me happy. And then they don't even get to touch each other before Alexander Rusev and Lana come out, and Rusev just beats them both down, gives Xavier Woods the accolade, and Lana praises him, and he says a bunch of stuff in Russian or whatever. Obviously, another little cool-down segment they wanted to have before you have the big ladder match at the end. What do you guys think? This is also the part where we had the huge live feed error that kicked everybody off the live feed for a little while during the middle of Breeze's entrance, which is the worst part. That's the part you want to see about Tyler Breeze. And then some people got it back while HBK was talking before the title match, and people like me and Gary, we didn't get it back until about 2 minutes left in the ladder match. So, what do you think, Paul?
I was fortunately one of those first people. I wish this was an actual match. I think part of the charm of Breeze is not only how he wrestles, but how the crowd reacts to him. And I definitely think he is something you should accentuate if you're going to show people NXT. But I mean, Rusev, I think, is still going to be a big part, despite the fact that he's going to get called up to the main roster. I think he's going to do sort of what Big E was doing for a while, where he's working back and forth a lot. But I mean, the technical problem. It sounds. I mean, if they're having this much trouble now with how, I don't know how many people actually tuned in to watch NXT. I'd really love to see some network numbers come out. So get on that, other people. But if they're having this much problem, and when you're going to have every single one of your subscribers watching WrestleMania, how many technical problems are you going to have then? And it just makes me nervous.
Mm-hmm. To be fair, for most people, it was a 5-minute block or something. Now, missing 5 minutes of WrestleMania is a big, huge deal, but we just kind of got lucky that what we missed of NXT was really nothing.
Right.
Yeah.
But that may not happen during WrestleMania,
Right.
Yeah, that's true.
So,
well, I think, just talking about this whole, it wasn't a match, but whatever this was, I think you're right when you say that Tyler Breeze is a guy that I think a lot of people want to know or see. And I think that they could have served themselves a little bit better if he could have cut at least maybe a minute and a half promo on Xavier Woods and then came down to the ring and then the whole Rusev thing, that would have worked. I mean, it just kind of makes me sad that people who don't know this and don't know anything about NXT missed out on what he is. But they'll get to see him if they stick with it. But I just think it would kind of intrigue them because it would have intrigued us, the whole Uggo thing. I mean, it's still stuck in my mind. I want the T-shirt, Uggo.
There was a Breeze is Gorgeous chant when the music stopped playing, so that was cool.
Exactly. So, I'd get why this is a cool down, but still sad that we didn't get enough Breeze.
Anything to say about the live feed error, which really until this point, the live feed have been doing wonderfully.
Yes.
For all the other shows, but that's just stuff that people watch whenever they happen to. There's not a segment of an audience that says, "Okay, I want to sit down and watch NXT Arrival live." That's the first time they ever had that, and to be fair, it was only 5 minutes, but once again, 5 minutes during WrestleMania can be killer. And to WWE's credit, they did send an email out during the replay of the NXT Arrival, which was after they aired Superstars at 10 p.m. Eastern, they aired a replay of NXT Arrival at 11 p.m. Eastern. And I got an email from WWE saying that they recognized that there was a problem there and that they're trying to fix it so it doesn't happen ever again, and that they will be having it on video on demand overnight. So probably as we're speaking right now, if you're listening live, it's probably up there. That's probably going to be the same thing for everything else that they do. Anything that airs is going to have 2 replays, and then after that second replay, they'll probably put it on video on demand. So it's not immediate, as they kept saying, but it's still immediate enough, kind of like Hulu Plus, where it's still worth it. If you missed WrestleMania and you get home at, like, let's say I do, and I just couldn't get off that day, and I get off at midnight, and I don't feel like staying up for 4 hours to watch the replay, I can get up in the morning at 7 or 8 and know that it's going to be there, and I can watch it then. So that's good for WWE.
Exactly. I mean, this is something that, it may bug people. I understand, you're watching it live and you're excited and it messes up. Things happen. This is a new product. You have to expect it. I mean, we've seen all the bugs and, new game systems, Xbox One, and of course the PS4. I mean, you buy them day one, you know there's going to be a problem. You just got to deal with it. Sorry, Batista would say it. Deal with it. So, I mean, my whole point of that is I'm not mad about it. In fact, I responded to WWE's email and I told them, don't worry about it. Just send me an autographed T-shirt for Tyler Breeze, and I'm good. I'm set. I won't be angry.
Well, they did have a little segment here with HBK where he got to talk about, shill his Mr. WrestleMania Blu-ray. He got to get HB Shizzle chanted and got thrown off by the fans because they kept, chanting one more match and HB Shizzle and all this stuff at him. I don't know if he was drunk too or if he just really was thrown off by the fans. He talked about, being a guy that knows a lot about ladder matches, and he kind of put over the 2 guys. Supposedly John Cena put over Adrian Neville pretty hard during the pre-show. So that's cool for John Cena, who was in the crowd. He was there in a suit. He kind of collapsed at the end of the ladder match. But I'm glad he didn't get involved or make some big scene during the show. That was very good from WWE to not have all these legends that were supposedly there. They just had them there watching and not overtaking the show because that was unnecessary. We have this ladder match here. It's your main event. Adrian Neville becomes the 4th ever NXT champion after giving Bo Dallas a red arrow on top of a ladder, and then he climbs the ladder and takes the belt. Most of this was not even using the ladder. It wasn't really that much of a ladder match. It was kind of a tame ladder match, to be honest. But considering Neville was in there with Bo Dallas, I don't know. I mean, what did you guys think?
I thought it worked. These guys never really seemed to click ever, which kind of sucks. I was hoping that they would have found something more to work with here. But there were some good spots, like they pulled off a picture-perfect tornado DDT. Neville spikes Bo, and Bo he sells it like a champ. The ladder, the red arrow on the ladder was still really cool. I was hoping he'd do one off of the ladder, but I'm a dreamer. I can't say this wasn't especially the booking of the night when all the champs were keeping. I thought Neville was going to win going into the show, though, so I'm definitely interested to see where they're going to take him, who his first feud is, if he's still going to feud with Bo, or if they're going to give him somebody new now. So, yeah, I mean, bright future for NXT already.
Can Bo really do that gimmick without the title?
I'm sure he'll try.
Yeah, it's going to be kind of funny to see him without the title because we're so used to him being his pompous self, holding that gold belt. But, I think they'll find other ways to keep him in that role. I think it's the best way to keep him in general. If let's just say he never really sold me on who he was before that, the whole gimmick. So, but the match, I was kind of, I won't say disappointed. I would just say underwhelmed. I expected a little bit more from it, especially this being the big main event for a big show that's been pimped for God, how long now? It was one of the biggest things that the network was, selling. Hey, we got NXT. You'll get to watch it. We have this big event.
To be fair, this was like you got to be honest. This was the one that, even if it was a ladder match, it was that third match on the card that you were looking forward to. But you got to admit you were looking forward to the first two more, right?
Oh yeah, you're totally right on that. And it's honestly the fact that the championship belt is in the hunt is why that was the last match. We all know that. It just sucks that sometimes that happens. If you go to some of the old school booking, I'm not sure that happens, but that's the way it works now. You get the main, the title belt at the end.
No, but that should be. NXT still kind of they're trying to teach everybody about that NXT has titles and that they matter and that all this stuff, and your NXT Championship should be at the end. I mean, that's what should main event. It's just
I'm not complaining.
After all the stuff you saw during the rest of the show, it's going to take a lot for that to kind of beat that,
Oh yeah, and I'm not running down the show at all. I'm just saying I wasn't, I was expecting a little bit more out of a title match, and that's okay. I mean, I think Paul said it perfectly. These guys just don't click. I mean, some guys just don't, and that's okay. It wasn't awful. It wasn't like a total show killer. I just wasn't thrilled about it, and I'm glad Neville won the championship. I'm glad that John Cena approved and clapped, because otherwise I would have not been sold on him being a champion. Or that's what I'm supposed to think, right? But anyway, long story short,
sarcasm.
Yeah. Long story short, I'm glad that Neville's a champion. That was a nice little cherry on the cake, or whatever, cupcake. Long story short, guys, I think it did not mess me up at all. I think that it kept the show pretty solid. I wasn't upset at all.
No, I think it adds to the show. Is it a lower note compared to the other two big matches that we saw? Yeah, but it's better than the two undercard matches, and it's still a good ladder match. Neville is still a great wrestler. Dallas is good in his role that he does. The two just don't mesh very well, and at least they tried. And that's the point. And it was good for what they gave us. And the point is, you got a nice little reason to keep watching because you have a new champion. It leads you into next week and see what your new champion is going to do. So.
Exactly. So then that's the whole point of the show. Get people excited for next week. And I think we are. And people that have watched it for a long time, I think we're still excited. And I think people who just tuned in, I think they're really curious to see what NXT was really about. Before we hop into something else, guys, I want to throw this out there. I was reading that NXT has some merchandise coming out. And a few of the names that are actually going to get merchandise are Paige, Bo Dallas, and, of course, The Ascension. Kind of give me your thoughts on these people having merchandise. And are there any names missing that should maybe have some merchandise out on the market?
Breeze. As you said, he needs that Uggo shirt.
Or the cell phone cover.
Or the cell phone cover, yeah.
If Emma was still there a lot more, I would say she deserves some merchandise.
Yeah, I mean, you got to have a Neville shirt now because he's the champ, right?
Yeah. Gravity Forgot Me.
Yeah, or something for Zayn. Zayn's a pretty big part of the show now.
Olay.
Yeah. But I think that's a good start. Ascension really can merchandise themselves with their gimmick and their look and everything. Right. And I don't know about Bo Dallas, but they can make some cheesy shirts, I guess, out of his gimmick.
I will buy a Bo t-shirt. I'm just saying.
I did like that his trunks said Bo Lever on them. That was a nice touch. It looked like Paige had a shirt on that was hers, but I couldn't tell what it said. So I would buy a Paige
shirt. Watch
out
for my fingers.
Watch out for my fingers.
Finger poke to the eye. Watch out.
Anyway, before we get out of here, where would you guys rate this as far as, is it the best show WWE's / NXT has put on in this short year that we've had already?
So far, I would say yes. I'd give it about a God, I want to give it a 9 so bad, so I think I will.
Thank you.
Two really good matches. The title match didn't disappoint. There's some cool down moments, but I think you got a really good experience about what NXT at its very best would look like. And if this didn't sell you on NXT, then nothing ever will.
Yeah, totally agree with you there.
Mm-hmm. I do too. And here's the thing. I think there was only one component missing out of this whole show, and I've already mentioned it. But besides that, the whole show flowed well. I feel like they had some great packages, like Sean mentioned earlier. The video packages really kind of got you interested in what was going to happen with the whole match that was coming up. If you didn't know the backstory, you knew it by the time you got to the match. So I think they did a lot of things right. I think the only thing we kind of missed out on is maybe a little promo cutting. I know these guys are young. I know no one's really going to care maybe what they have to say, but I think it's something that I think young fans that had not ever seen these guys talk maybe can experience a little bit. So
I would disagree with you there, unless you're going to do it on the pre-show, because this is supposed to be a pay-per-view, and what do we do? What do we say about pay-per-views? Don't have talking.
Well, I know, but we have talking sometimes. I'm not talking about 30 minutes of talking. I'm talking about Tyler Breeze standing on the stage with 30 seconds of commentary. That's all we need. We need a little something.
Oh, well, that's different, though. He wasn't even scheduled for a match or whatever. But if we're going to have, say you had Emma or Paige come out and talk for a minute or two, it's unnecessary. Or have Bo Dallas. I guess I would go for a Bo Dallas cheesy promo just so people can kind of get his personality. But
you got my point right there. You said it right there, Sean. Personality. We want to know who these people are. Yeah, we now after tonight, first-time watchers, we all know that these guys can wrestle, but we don't know anything else. I want to know what kind of personality these people have. Who are they? All that good stuff. And you have your best guys do it. You know what I mean? I feel that would be the best part. But besides that, that's just my little hitch. I mean, this is pretty close to an 8 or 9 for me.
Yeah, I would say had the ladder match been blow away, I would say 9.5 to a 10, but I think 8.5 to 9 is closer to what I would give it. But that's still not bad by any stretch of the imagination. It's the best rating we've gave anything for a long time as far as pay-per-views or big shows go. I had something I was going to say, and I completely now am blanking once again. But, man, we've talked for almost an hour, literally pretty much an hour on this show. And that is the longest we will probably ever get to have to talk about NXT because we have so much on the regular show. Which, again, not to be a total pimper for the regular show, but yes, we do have a regular episodes of Wrestling to the Max that air Monday nights after Raw around midnight Eastern, somewhere around there. We go live, and then it's there next day on demand on Stitcher, iTunes, TuneIn, Xbox Music, Blackberry, all those places you can find podcasts. We are there. We have a YouTube channel where you can find stuff like this. All of our extras are on there. It's Wrestling to the Max Pod, and if you'd rather, it's not going to have any videos. It's going to have a nice little picture that I made. If you'd rather just listen to it on YouTube or something, it will be there sometime. It will be there when you're listening to this, but whatever. It's there for you.
And the reason we have these kind of shows is because of this reason. We spend an hour on NXT. We never do that, but we did it tonight, and all of our fans hopefully will get a chance to really understand what we think about this entire show. So it was very cool. But again, we really need to jump into the network, guys, because we kind of talked about some issues, but there's some other things going. So, Sean, let's move on to that.
I'm just glad they took that lightweight part of the song out and just let you play the instrumental part for the network. I got tired of that after a while.
Oh, man, that's true. Well, we had some problems. We already talked about it. We won't rehash old stuff. But, tonight we saw a little bit of glitches going on with WWE Network. Well, people with Roku have had some problems as well. it has come out that WWE has really worked on it and that they have fixed the problems with Roku. And I think that this is very important because not because of what WWE wants for the foreign markets, but for us secret fans over in the UK or Canada or wherever that have Roku or are using that to get their WWE network. I think this is very important. But it's also
Roku is pretty much, it's almost impossible. I tried with an English guy that me and him ride on the same gaming website, and it's impossible. The only way he could do it is to make it seem like he lives in the U.S., and then he would have to find a fake U.S. address. It's really convoluted. Now, you can do it on the computer.
Yeah.
It's a lot easier.
It is easier, but Roku is one of those things. Yeah, I agree. You have to do a little thing, but all you have to do is go on a computer, find a fake address, and it's not too difficult. You just got to be willing to go through the process.
I mean, they fixed Roku, but the Xbox 360 still has tons of issues. So.
What's up with that? I mean, I don't understand why it is a Microsoft issue. What's the problem here?
It seems to be a Microsoft issue. They keep saying they're working on it. There's no way it's an MLBAM or WWE issue because it works on the PS3, right? It works on the PS4. It works on Roku now. It works on everything else. So it has to be a Microsoft issue at this point. It's been too long.
Yeah, I mean, whatever it is, I really hope they fix it. Xbox is my only way to watch it on my TV screen, and I really wanted to watch NXT on it, but alas, it was not meant to be. So, I mean, whatever the problem is, just hurry up and fix it. Because you're turning off a lot of people, I'm sure, who just have Xbox.
Right, because a lot of people don't. I mean, until my new computer came in today, which thankfully it's not giving me any problems or whatever. Hopefully by Monday we can start using it for this, because when we first started, the fans were so loud I couldn't hear the stuff that I'm supposed to be playing, the intros and all that. But anyway, my point was that now I can do the whole HDMI out and connect my computer to the TV and play it through the computer to the TV, but I mean, before, my PS3 existed 2 weeks ago, I would have been in the same boat as Paul, and I'd be really, I can understand everybody being pissed, because I play a lot of games, and when that stuff happens with games where it doesn't work, or what they ask you to do lags, or whatever, I get upset, and I can understand everybody else gets upset, and I can totally understand people that, they don't want to pay to watch it on their PC that may not be next to their TV, or that may just be in another room completely from where they need to be, or they don't want to watch it on this little bitty phone, They want to watch it on a big screen. That's why you have big screens, right? You want to watch a network on the big screen. So it would behoove WWE to try to get it fixed. At this point, I don't think it's them, or it would have been fixed by now. It's Microsoft needs to figure it out. They got too many people hooked on the Xbox One and not caring too much about the 360 at this point. I think they just didn't think about that there's a lot of infrastructure that goes into making apps and all that for 360 that might be different than Sony's systems, and that's probably why the Xbox Ones is not rolling out till the summer,
Yeah, I mean, there's, probably plenty of different reasons. But I'm glad they at least fixed it on Roku, the problems that they were having, and hopefully they will fix the Xbox problems for all the millions of people that do own the Xbox and really want to use it to their capacity when they're using the WWE Network. Well, besides, all these problems and issues, there are some good things coming out of the network. We were actually awarded with, the Royal Rumble 2014. We've been kind of waiting for that. I believe they also released Royal Rumble 2011, right, guys?
Yeah.
And if you're looking for Elimination Chamber, if you did miss it, that'll be out March 24th. So they are trying to add new content, especially recent content, and that's positive for the people who did miss it or did not.
They do add episodes of Raw from '93, like every night.
Yeah, they also add Hardcore TVs from ECW, and they add something else too every day. And I can't remember what it is.
I think it's they add some MSG shows, at least one a day or something like that. And they're trying to get all of them, actually, is what they've reported. They're also trying to we are in a free 1 week trial period for anybody that signs up right now. I don't know how that works, if it's like Netflix where if you sign up a month from now you'll still be doing a 1 week free trial, or if it's the 1 week free trial is only this week. But supposedly once they know who is going to be their subscribers in a week, they are planning to add all their episodes of Saturday Night's Main Event and the WCW Clash of Champions to the list of plethora of on-demand content they already have. So
yeah,
that makes me excited.
The only thing we're missing is Nitro. That's the one thing I can't wait.
They're not going to add that till that Monday Night War show comes up in the summer.
It's just so sad I have to wait. I miss Nitro so much, guys. You don't understand.
Yeah, I mean, there's a ton of WCW television shows they could add too, and there's older WWE television shows they can still add too, like old Superstars. WCW used to have Pro and Main Event, or not Main Event, Saturday Night and Worldwide. That's what it's called.
Yeah.
Yep.
If they ever add the primetime shows, the WWE primetime shows, the Tuesday Night Titans and all that with Gorilla and Bobby Heenan just talking or whatever, I will be watching those nonstop. Those were just such great television.
Oh man, brilliant! And what about Sunday Night Heat? We need Sunday Night
Heat.
Oh yeah, well, I mean they could add that too. Velocity,
Jack, Metal, Velocity.
Shotgun Saturday Night.
I would watch me some old Shotgun. I love Shotgun Saturday Night when they were doing it in nightclubs.
Yeah.
Oh man, so much. Oh my God.
And then people were complaining. I can't only people complain about this stuff, but it's just, they have to try to hook you after this first 6 months. So they have to have stuff that they're going to show later. I mean, you have to understand they can't give you everything day one, and you think that you're going to get bored. You're going to get, okay, well, I'll just flip this on when I feel like I got a little bit of nostalgia. But when in 6 months they go, oh, you got the Monday Night War show. You got, you got Legends House that comes on the week after WrestleMania. You've got a couple of other things that are going to be showing up. The Nitros, I'm sure, will show up when the Monday Night War shows up in the summer. I'm sure they'll have a little bit more shows by then. You've got to understand. They can't just go, okay, we'll throw you a bone here, and we hope that you'll come back in 6 months after you've watched everything you wanted to watch, And that's probably not going to happen, so they got to leave content off. Also, people were complaining about the music and the language and the what's the other thing that people were complaining about? The nudity. Are you serious? Do you think they're really going to keep the cat flashing from Armageddon on there? You know how annoying it is to put parental controls on things? I don't like having to hit a password every time I want to access something. Okay? On my computer, when I enter it, I don't like doing that. When I want to watch something on the network, I don't want to have to hit a password every time. Okay? Yeah. My kid's too young to mess with it right now, but there's a lot of people that have kids that do want to watch WWE Network. I don't know if y'all saw that one commercial that shows like it's Joey from age 7 to age 37, and then he has a kid that's 7 at the end, and he's watching the network on his phone or whatever. And the point is, there's a lot of kids that are going to want access to stuff, and I understand the parental controls are there. And yes, we should be able to watch whatever the way it was, but you got to understand there's some fundamental things that they have to censor. It's just bottom line normal stuff that you got to censor.
Yeah.
And the music, they're not going to pay millions of dollars to Metallica and Pearl Jam and all that to have those things from WCW. Why?
Mm-hmm. Well, I agree.
I will say the best thing about they only censor what the wrestlers are saying. So the crowd reactions, like ECW crowds, they're still as loud as vulgar as they ever were. So they never censor them. It's only the wrestlers.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and if you really want that kind of stuff, you can find it. It's out there on the internet somewhere, some way. You can probably find it. Now, I know WWE's cutting down on that, so you may have a little bit more of a difficult time finding it, but I'm sure some place has it. And saying all that, though, I don't think it's that big of a deal. I think we are kind of disappointed we don't get some of the entrance music and things like that. But, it's just part of it. the match is probably what you're really wanting to see. The interest music is that big a deal? I don't think so. So I'm okay with all this, and it's not that big of a deal. But
also that might be why they don't have the nitros yet too, because they have to go through every episode and see which songs they have to take out. And that's a painstaking process.
Oh, I know. But something else that I thought was kind of interesting, since we're talking about the network, and you did mention Netflix earlier, Sean. A lot of people have been kind of concerned. The network's here. Is WWE going to basically take their content, their DVDs, away from Netflix and maybe put them primarily, exclusively on the network? But the rumors are not true. WWE and Netflix both gain a lot of money from basically sharing this content by using it. The relationship is very good and positive for both companies. So if you want to watch the Miz's movie Christmas Bounty, it will be on Netflix. Don't worry, it is not leaving. So I'm excited about it. I'm going to watch it sometime.
The History of WWE DVD just popped up this week too.
See,
so if you haven't watched that yet, you can watch that on Netflix streaming.
Yeah, and I was being sarcastic about the Miz, not the history thing. I want to see that.
Well, if you got 2 hours to kill, or was it 1 hour and a half to kill? I mean, I guess why not?
I need to watch it. I didn't get a chance to see it at Christmas. I missed it. They never showed it again, probably for a reason.
Yeah, exactly.
But anyway, I'll have to kill some brain cells one day. But besides that, just to let you guys know, don't worry about that whole issue. Do you guys have anything else you want to say about the network?
I was going to ask, do you guys, I understand that they're trying to make original content, and that's fine. They are kind of releasing every week on Saturdays, one DVD at a time in that Beyond, and they call it the Beyond the Ring. They did kind of promise a DVD library at launch or whatnot. Are you guys disappointed in that? Or I don't really mind, because it makes it an event, even though we probably have, all 3 of those that they're going to have the Rock's one that's like 3 or 4 hours long, and then the Stone Cold one that I actually have the DVD of. All 3 of those were on Netflix, so it might take a little while to get to ones that weren't on Netflix, but I like it because it's kind of like an event that people that haven't watched it can see it, and then it shows up on demand. What do you guys think, though? Did you want a big library of DVD stuff there at the beginning, or do you not care?
I don't know if I needed a big library, but I at least would have liked something, a little bit of something from each one. So you have like Rise and Fall of ECW, and then you have like Rise and Fall of WCW, and then you can have something for the WWE and all that stuff. Just something so I get an idea of what they're actually going to release, because there's tons of home video releases that they've done since Coliseum Video was a thing way back in early 90s, and even before that probably. But just so I had an idea, like, is it going to be more modern stuff? I'm assuming, which it is, or is it going to be like, are they going to go in the way back and hit like WWF Greatest Hits of Raw Volume 1 from like 96 or something?
They might eventually.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I'm not saying that I'm that disappointed, because I have so much other stuff I want to check out. Yes, I do want to watch a lot of these DVDs. I missed out on a lot of them. I never really was a big spender when it came to buying a lot of the WWE DVDs. I think I own a few. I own a couple of the Mick Foleys. I own the Stone Cold and one of the Rocks. But besides that, I don't own any other ones. Sean's collection put me to shame for certain, and I'm sure Paul has a library.
Well, I don't have that collection anymore, so you now put me to shame.
So don't bring that sad story up, Sean. But anyway, long story short, I think that I'm kind of on board where Sean's at on this. I like the fact that week by week we get a premiere of something. It makes it special, and you may have overlooked some things. Sometimes when you have a giant library, you kind of overlook some titles just because you're like, oh, I'll get around to that. It's a lot more special when they bring it to you and say, hey, this is an exclusive this week. Watch it. Then you're like, well, I'm getting to that now. And so I think if they would have had a bigger library, I think I probably would have skipped out on a lot more. So I think this is positive. I'm excited about it.
Sucks that we won't get that Self-Destruction of Ultimate Warrior DVD.
Yeah. Well, maybe some.
I'm hoping we do get the Jake Roberts one for his Hall of Fame induction, because that one's really good.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that'd be awesome. I'd love to see that one too. I have never seen it, so it'd definitely be a treat for me. But do we have anything else, guys, you wanted to talk about before we head out of the network?
If you don't own it and you're a wrestling fan, go get it, because it's totally worth your $10 a month.
Especially because it's basically on us to be able to make it a success, right? So if you're a wrestling fan and you're just thinking, oh, I only get it for the pay-per-view and maybe just for the pay-per-view every month and watching NXT, I think it's worth it, honestly. Even if you don't care about the on-demand. There was some guys I was arguing with about this on the Facebook group, and to me, just for NXT and for the pay-per-views, it is worth it. Even if I don't watch pay-per-views live, I watch them on demand the next day. To me, it is worth it. I know it's a legal stream. I'm not going to get a virus put in my computer. I could cancel Hulu. I like Hulu Plus for watching regular shows, but if I'm a WWE fan and I got Hulu Plus just for NXT, I could cancel it, get the network, and there's so much more stuff on there, and they're going to add more stuff. It's not like this is it, you know? This isn't like the Classics On Demand thing that they added a couple things every month and they wanted you to pay $8. You're paying $10, and this year at least there's no ads. You're watching stuff that you want to see. I mean, everything is pretty much there the way it was, except for certain things. I mean, you get to relive things that you may never have experienced, and you're selling yourself short, I think, if you just go, oh, well, I don't care about the old stuff, and I just still stream the pay-per-views. It's $10 is $10 to me, and whatever. What you're doing is hurting everybody else that will enjoy this, and you should go put your $10 down, because even if you're mad at the current product, buying this and telling them that you're willing to buy this and you're there, this is for you, maybe they will do more things for you in the future, you know.
Amen to that. So with that, guys, we will move on. We got a few quick hits that we need to jump into. Let's do it now.
It's time for wrestling news. Quick hits.
There was one thing that I forgot to put in the little intro thing that I kind of remembered as we were doing this show, because there was a rumor going around that there's people on Twitter that are trying to organize a big old thing for Chicago to hijack Raw. What do you got? I mean, look, we enjoyed it at the Royal Rumble, I think, and it was deserved in a way. But what do you guys think about the overall, just this movement of, we're just going to hijack it, whatever, and all this stuff? I know it's a vocal minority and all that, but are you in favor of this stuff? Because to me, there's a place and time for it. I hate it when they do it during matches that these guys are trying and it's not their fault. They got thrown out there the way they did, in the position that they did, and they're just getting, everybody's chanting everything but paying attention to the match and all that. What's y'all's stance on this whole hijacking movement thing?
Personally, I'm for it, but they got to be real careful when they do it, because, I mean, you don't want to miss something because you're chanting something so loud. To be honest, I mean, this is one of the best ways to get WWE to notice stuff if you're being loud, and they just can't. There's no way for them to they can't go over it or anything like that. They can't censor it or anything like that. So, I mean, it's a good way to, I think, spread a message to other wrestling fans, like, hey, we're really pissed off about this, or we want this or that. And, it might get us, or, it might get the fans somewhere that they want the product be at. But, I mean, it can get real annoying at times. So I think if you're going to do it, you just gotta be careful. I mean, personally, I hate it. I wouldn't go, if I'm going to do this and hijack a show, I'm going to be careful about when I chant, because, there's a lot of stuff on the product that I still do like. I mean, most of the bookings, sometimes it may not always go my way, but I still enjoy what I watch most of the time.
Yeah, and here's my thing. I think if you do the hijacking, you got to be intelligent about when you do it and how you do it. I think the officials may pay attention to it sometimes, but when you get to be ridiculous about it, I think they don't take you seriously. Like if you're chanting CM Punk during the main event. Oh yeah, we get it. We all miss CM Punk. We all love CM Punk, but that has nothing to do with this match. And it's not, it's not like CM Punk, was fired. You're not saying that. CM Punk walked away from you. And in some of these other chants, if the match is boring, I'm okay with it.
No, I fully expect we're going to get a ton of CM Punk chants in Chicago because it's where CM Punk lives.
Oh, yeah, that's going to happen no matter what.
There's a large part of me that hopes Punk is in the audience starting CM Punk chants just for fun.
Oh, yeah, that would be brilliant. Of course, they would not put him on camera.
No.
But long story short, I mean, it's really okay with me if you do try to get your word out there. I said it not long ago. I think that wrestling fans have to be vocal. They have to make sure that their word is heard. But I think a lot of times we forget, and I think Paul said this not long ago. If not, I can't remember. Maybe it's you, Sean. But you said it's the pocketbook that matters as well, because they care about money. They look at numbers. It's about how much profit they're making, whose T-shirt selling better than who's, all that good stuff. And I think sometimes we forget that. So if you're going to hijack a show, don't only just hijack it, with your voice, but use your wallet as well. Buy those ugly, terrible Dolph Ziggler T-shirts. Get you a Daniel Bryan shirt. Even if you don't
like the Dolph Ziggler T-shirts? They're like right up your alley. They're all 80s.
Okay, but the thing is they're all pink, and I wish that they had a black one with a cool. I love the 80s look. But just the whole pink
That
thing.
blue one he had when he was with AJ and Big E was pretty cool.
Yeah, I like the blue one they had.
That one was cool. I take it back with that one. I did like that one. The pink one, man, it's always, I'm like, I can't buy it.
The thing was that what it said on there probably wasn't for you.
Yeah.
the stealing your girlfriend thing.
Yeah, exactly. I couldn't do that. But long story short, I mean, I'm talking about the hijacking thing, though. I mean, I think we just have to be intelligent when we're doing it. We just can't chant anything all the time, because I really don't think Triple H, Vince McMahon really respect it when they can tell that you're not doing it intelligently.
Yeah, and I mean, like that Better Than Batista chant was funny, but that's the kind of stuff that makes the officials go, and now I don't want to listen to them. Mm-hmm. You're chanting about somebody that has nothing to do with NXT at all. He will never probably be on NXT other than a special appearance, and the way things are going, I highly doubt he's going to make a special appearance in NXT, unless he just wants to get chanted or they just want him to be an uber heel in NXT for some reason. Batista did go out and say that the people that chant against him are the ones that have no lives, which he just gets way too into it, I think. Let the people chant what they want. They want to boo you, then they boo you. Who cares? Once again, stop trying to tell people how they should feel. That's their prerogative. But I do agree, when you are, as someone that's been there, been in the ring and whatever, and I've gotten beer bottles thrown at me for no reason other than the fact that the guy was drunk and he wanted to throw them at me. Not because I was having a bad match or anything, but just saying that the wrestlers, for the most part, they're not the ones in charge of creative, and that Randy Orton, sure, chant at him, whatever, boo him, whatever the heck it is you want to do with Randy Orton. Cena, same thing, and Cena even understands why he's getting booed and why he's getting the mixed reaction that he gets, but the other guys, for the most part, they have nothing to do with why creative is feeling the way creative does, and you can be disinterested, but chanting JBL and Jerry and Michael Cole and whatever at Kofi Kingston, that's disrespectful.
Mm-hmm.
And you're only making him be disheartened about what he's doing, because he goes out there and gives his all, and you're making him feel like he's worthless, and that's not his fault.
Yeah. And I'll say this, I kind of feel for Batista a little bit, only because of the fact that he was just doing what he wanted to do, come and, be a part of the WWE, but not only that, help them, because he's going to promote a movie, probably have the belt.
I can't imagine Batista really cares that much, and why wouldn't you want to be heel Batista? It was so much more interesting.
Oh, I'm sure he wants to be heel Batista eventually. I'm just saying he's doing the face thing because of the movie, and it's part of the company towing the line. You got to do what they, are asking you to do. and the fans are booing him right away just because they feel like that's Daniel Bryan's spot. It's not Batista's fault. I mean, he, is doing what WWE asked. If he didn't have a big movie, I'm sure it would be a different story. That'd just be him being selfish.
It might not be Batista's fault, but the way he sort of showed up, and he hasn't done himself any favors, I think, with the way he's been working.
I think the fans feel like Batista could have had some control in how he was booked.
Mm-hmm. Maybe so.
And he chose to probably make that decision of, hey, Batista, you can come in, you're going to win the World Rumble and win the title. And you think he's going to say no?
I don't want the title. Nah. I agree. I mean, I'm not saying I'm a Batista, I'm not laying on the sword for him. I'm just saying that, there could be a possibility that, he didn't think he was going to get this reaction. He may be that, I don't know, I wouldn't say arrogant, but he may actually think that people remember him in a good light. I think he kind of forgot how much people really didn't care about him when he left.
Well, and it's not that much. I think people wouldn't have had a problem with him if he wouldn't have... Had he lost to Bryan that Royal Rumble match, people wouldn't be booing him like that right now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you're totally right.
He stole Bryan's moment, so people hate Batista. And they feel like he's going to continue to steal Bryan's moment because now he is destined to be in that main event against Randy Orton. And we're going to have to watch a match that no one really wants to see. And I hope that WWE understands that this is one of those times where you do not put the title on last, because you're going to have WrestleMania 25 all over again where no one cares. And it's going to be such a flat end to your pay-per-view that it's going to be like you're going to feel the whole air go out of the whole entire arena. I mean, it's going to be so bad.
Go ahead. I'll let you finish your thought.
I just feel like either you end it with Bryan and Triple H, and they know that he's either getting a title shot the next time on Raw or Extreme Rules, or you end it with Undertaker Brock.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I totally agree with that for certain. And here's the thing I want to ask you guys, because we are talking about, the possibility of, having another flat ending to WrestleMania. There's being that whole, disconnect with the fans because they don't want that match. I love when I hear John Cena talk about this, because he talks about the fact that, the fans may boo him and hate him, but it's the fact that they actually give him attention is what he knows he's doing something at least right, and the fact that people care about what he's doing. It's when they stop caring, it's when they stop chanting, it's when they're silent, when they're sitting on their hands, is when he knows there's a big, big problem. Do you think that there could ever, and I don't think this would ever happen, but do you think that there could ever be a possibility of people getting together and saying, look, we do not want this to happen, we don't want this match, we don't want this to work the way that they're doing, hey, we're going to be as quiet as possible during this match, there's not going to be any chance, we're just going to sit there and not do anything? Do you think that could ever happen?
WrestleMania 20, Goldberg-Brock. I mean, you had fans in the arena turn their back on the match. Visibly on the hard camera.
I guess that's
true. But with how big Mania is these days, because you got to get 75,000 people plus to go, hey, shut up. That's not going to happen.
That's impossible.
Well, I'm talking about any match, though, not just WrestleMania, any time. Like, Ohio or
even going to a Raw, there's too many people in there that don't feel like you, that are not going to do that. I mean, it's just... for one, whatever John Cena said, he also makes a point of there's a difference between go away heat and we just don't like you heat. Mm-hmm. And when you're getting end this match chants and boring and same old crap chants, and that is not positive in any way for you. I don't care what John Cena tries to spin. You're getting a reaction, but it's a really bad reaction of, we do not want to see this. We are vocally telling you we do not want to see this. Mm-hmm. And being quiet is not going to happen, because there's going to be kids that are going to chant for John Cena, and if you don't say something, those kids are going to come out more than anybody else. So,
True,
and that's the thing. I mean, those kids are always going to be wanting to chant something, and it's up to the adults or the people that don't want things to happen. You've got to let them know. And as silly as the Bautista chant is, at least it obviously tells you we are booing Batista and we don't like it.
Yeah, and it's a lot easier to participate with noise than it is to be silent. So, and it's more fun, to get behind the chant. Even if you don't even believe the chant, it's sometimes people do it anyway for fun. It's just being a part of the show, So, I mean, I totally get what you guys are coming from. I was just wanting to ask that question. But besides that, I mean, thinking about all this WrestleMania stuff and everything, we know that the Hall of Fame is coming up. And the fact that Jake Roberts, who just had successful surgery, and this is very positive because the guy did have cancer. They're still waiting on some more tests, of course, but so far it's looking very good for Jake Roberts. And he should be at the Hall of Fame. They revealed who his inductor is going to be, and that is DDP. Is that really a big surprise to you guys? Because it wasn't to me.
It's not really a big surprise at all. DDP is sort of responsible for getting Jake Roberts back on the wagon of sobriety. So, I mean, it'll be a nice moment, I think, for both of them to share. I think it'll come across really well on the network when we get to watch the Hall of Fame.
Yeah, it's going to be a great moment. I'm excited to see that induction and see what Jake has to say and see what DDP has to say about him, And if Scott Hall gets to go in with Kevin Nash, I want to see what DDP has to say about him as well. I mean, it's going to be a fun night. It's going to be something to really watch. No surprise, though, that DDP is his inductor, because who else is going to induct him? His dad? Not happening.
Yeah. Well, I mean, the curious thing is if Scott Hall is to go in this year, next year, whenever he does go in, do you think he would have DDP induct him, or do you think he'd have Kevin Nash?
I think it would either be Nash or HP Shizzle. Or maybe Sean Waltman. I think X-Pac would be a good one, too.
True. That's a good thought process. Well, we are talking about, the Hall of Fame and everything, and there's a guy that probably will be in the Hall of Fame. It'll just maybe in 10 years, maybe sooner. Rey Mysterio, that's right. He's a guy that's winding down, probably getting towards the end of his career, if he can stay healthy. There's thoughts that he may walk away from the WWE after his contract is up in 3 months. He's on a list of guys maybe leaving. We talked about Del Rio being one of those guys. And I believe there's one other guy I'm blanking on that probably will walk away. There's 3 or 4 guys that are considering this. But long story short, Rey Mysterio is one of them. But they're saying that the possibility of him walking away isn't the fact that he's going to quit and retire. They're thinking he'll go to AAA because AAA is doing a lot more things now. They actually will be on U.S. television to some extent. What do you guys think about Rey Mysterio possibly hopping ship?
I think it makes sense for AAA, most definitely, because Rey Mysterio is a present face here in America, and if you want to get people to watch your product, he's a great way to do that because people will instantly recognize him. Him and Conan, who's pretty much runs AAA as far as I'm aware, they still have a great relationship. So I would assume once his 90-day no-compete clause or whatever he has on his contract is up, I could definitely see him showing up on there.
Yeah, it would make sense for Ray. I mean, it'd be another thing he gets to say he did, help AAA get into the U.S. and be one of those big guys that people know and can kind of lead them into that foray. I mean, that's cool and everything. I just hate to see Rey Mysterio go. I'm one of his biggest fans, but if Duddy feels like, a Legends contract is not in the works for him, or they can do that later when he really feels like he's retired, whatever, that's fine. Just, I mean, if Ray feels like he can still do it, good for him. But I know his, body's deteriorating.
Yeah, you just do worry about that for the guy because he's had so many injuries in such a short period of time. But we'll have to see how that goes on from the future. It's such a sad thing, but we've been talking about this for the last week. Big Daddy V passed away. Nelson Fraser. He of course, was a big part of the Attitude Era and different eras in wrestling, different indie companies as of late. But, his passing was attributed, of course, to weight loss and a heart attack. Just sad story. But his widow has come out on Facebook and had a big rage. And really what's kind of funny is she's blaming the WWE, not for his death, but she's saying that they don't care about the wrestlers. They don't really take care of them. She came out saying that, TMZ lied and, come up with a bunch of information that they did not get it from her. They did not interview her. They're lying. And the fact that she's going to come out and tell all of Vince McMahon she's not going to let any holds be barred. She's going to let all the secrets, all those bad things that you have, she's going to let them be known. So just a big letter. I don't want us to read it because it would take too long. But I'm sure both of you guys actually read what she put on Facebook. It's basically going in circles anyway. What did you think about it after you read it?
I mean, she very obviously is upset with him. Everything she wrote's in all caps. Yeah. And she wrote it like she was, in that state of mind where you're just so mad that what you start saying doesn't really make a lot of sense anymore. So obviously she feels like they've done something wrong. I know most of her beef was that they didn't have the remembrance thing on Raw, which I understand why they'd be hesitant after Benoit, but I'm sure they will show once. I mean, especially now that they have a better idea of what he actually died of. I'm sure they'll show him on this next episode of Raw and everything. But I am kind of interested to see what she has to say if she does know something. But somebody call the press as TMZ lied. Oh my God, that didn't surprise me at all.
Yeah, TMZ lies all the time. That's their job to lie, really. I feel for her. I feel like this is a terrible moment for her and her family and all that. And it's sad for the wrestling world. We lost somebody that was a role player in the Attitude Era, but it's somebody we remember fondly, And it was always cool to know that Visser could come back and do something. I never, the world's largest love machine or whatever. That was always funny to me. I always have funny memories of Visser, whether it's Mabel, whether it's Big Daddy V, whether it's, the corporate ministry Visser or whatnot. So I feel for her in that respect. I can understand the whole thing about Raw, but I think I understand too that WWE wants to be cautious about just going out there and putting in memories of and doing tribute videos, and we don't know what he died of. So they held back a couple days. They had it on Main Event. It's going to be on SmackDown. I'm sure they'll have one on Raw. I mean, so he'll get the full plate. Just didn't happen the day or two after he actually died, and I understand her getting upset, but it happened. So that part she's wrong on. And maybe back in the day when Viscera was at the height of the Attitude Era and all that, maybe you can say they didn't care about their wrestlers or didn't care what they did or whatever. Back in the 80s, they actually had wellness policy only for cocaine. That's how bad cocaine was in WWE. So there you go. But now they have one for everything, and they do the concussion tests, and they took the chair shots out, and I mean, they do almost everything possible to take care of their wrestlers, and a lot of times if the wrestler is injured later or decides to keep an injury, it's because he's worried about losing his job in that he loses his spot and then he has to start all over again when he comes back. And that's a normal fear with wrestlers. When you're gone, and if you're going to be gone a long time, somebody's going to come up and take your spot, Mm-hmm. And you might not be going to be forgotten, but that you may not be in the same spot from when you left, and that's a normal thing with wrestlers. But to say that WWE doesn't care about them now is totally just, I think, off the wall. I think I'd be surprised. I want to know what she has to tell, but I think a lot of it would be considered kind of dumb right now, mm-hmm. because WWE is not that way anymore. So I think it'd just be her spouting off a lot of stuff because she's angry and upset and mm-hmm. just dealt with the loss of her husband, So
Yeah, and I think, when you're in that emotional state, you'll say anything. I know when I get angry or, get upset, it's mainly
I think when anybody
angry,
gets angry, you say mean things you don't really mean to say,
Yeah, exactly. And, I mean, she's probably really upset right now. She's probably kind of bitter because, she knows that, what he was doing professionally did affect his health. And so it pays a tribute to his death. But long story short, my point is the fact that, she's kind of bitter like I believe Martha Hart is to an extent. Not the same exact way, trust me, but to an extent she is. So she's going to say what she has to say, what she wants to say. But I really believe if she had the biggest secrets, other people would have those secrets, and we know plenty of wrestlers out there who don't mind saying that they're pissed at Vince, that they're mad at WWE, and that they have dirt on them. Any dirt that's come out, we know about it usually. And it would have to be a pretty darn dark secret, and I don't think Big Daddy V was the kind of man who would go home and tell his wife these evil secrets about the company. I think from what I gathered from everybody that I've heard talk about this man that knew him, said he was a great guy. He was one of the most loving people you would ever meet. I just don't see him being that kind of person, coming home and saying all these bad things. So you never know. She's probably just upset. I agree with you, Sean. She's probably just going to come out and say stuff that's really no big deal or not really matter anymore. It's probably something from the past. So I mean, it's an interesting story. If we hear any more, we'll definitely keep everybody updated on that. But until then, we'll just have to keep holding on. This is some pretty cool news that we've come out this week, though. Some indie stars are possibly making it to the WWE roster. Well, they're going to try out at least to be on that roster. A few of these guys are Roderick Strong, Michael Elgin, and of course Kevin Steen. They're going to get NXT tryouts on March 24th through the 26th. So this is going to be, really interesting to see. I really wish we had an opportunity to watch these tryouts. I know we won't, but I would love to see these tryouts because I'm sure these guys will be putting on their A performances. How excited about these guys are you? And do you think these guys are going to have a better chance of making the NXT roster compared to what the American Wolves did?
If the American Wolves did make it, Roderick Strong has zero chance. He has less charisma than they do on the microphone. And that's not to take away from his absolutely outstanding wrestling ability, but when you're in the E, you gotta have, you can be a great wrestler, but you gotta have that charisma that comes with, being on the microphone and in the ring all the time. And sadly, Roderick just doesn't really have it. In my opinion, at least. WWE might think differently. So, Kevin Steen, he's a very entertaining guy. If his weight might be an issue, but if he makes it, I think he has a real outside chance. I think the one guy who does have a solid chance is Michael Elgin. He's a stacked little squad guy. He's a great wrestler. He can cut a really good promo. I think the building blocks are there for WWE to mold into something that they could use when it comes to Elgin.
Agreed on Elgin. I really like Steen, but, are they going to be... I mean, I'm sure WWE feels like, okay, we'll hire you, but you got to hit the gym. I mean, they hired Sami Zayn and Pac, and both of them have gotten rips as being in the, Performance Center and all that stuff. Not that Steen couldn't. So it's up to Steen whether he wants to or not. I mean, he can take Chris Hero's stance and say, look, this is my body, I'm going to do it the way I want to, and among other things, be the reason why you're not there anymore. I mean, I'm sure Chris Hero, in a way, is sitting there thinking, if you didn't like the way I looked, then you're going to hire this big guy, as Kevin Steen, okay. But still, WWE must see something in him to be bringing him in for a tryout, so they know what they're looking for. Roderick Strong, he's a great wrestler. He, like I said, he used to do some shows sometimes down where I was, and I will agree firsthand. Obviously he was a lot younger then, had a lot more time to be more mature and get better at that, and the fact that he still hasn't gotten better at cutting promos tells you that he just doesn't have that gift that a lot of people do when they do become wrestlers. So if they hire him, it's to be a solid hand and to be a wrestler, and it doesn't hurt to just have depth in the locker room and have guys that you can put out there in a tag team and just be solid hands. So if they need that, Roderick Strong is good for that.
Yeah, and not only that, you could put a manager with them to kind of keep him from being uncomfortable on the mic, and so I mean, I don't think that they would lose out if the guys.
Zeb's gonna not have anything to do unless he just stays with Jack Swagger the whole time. But
and also you have NXT's the French guy's name, Lafour, right?
Lafour, yeah.
Sylvester Lafour.
Yeah. Sylvester Lafour.
He can make a whole set of Legionnaires.
Yeah, there you go. So I don't know. I'm excited to see what guys actually make out of this crop. I mean, we are fans of these guys just from their work in the indie circuit, but until we see them on NXT, we won't know actually how they'll work on the whole WB level of entertainment at least. So, well, guys, I know we have one more news topic we're going to jump into. But before we jump into it, has any other news topics you guys want to jump into? Anything you've heard? Anything I want to make sure of before we move on?
Not that I'm aware of.
Okay. No. Well, then we will jump into this last thing. I wanted to save it last because it is WrestleMania 30 related. I'd like to ending on a high note. There has been talk that there might be a men's and even a women's multi-man tag match for I'm not sure who's all going to be in them, but it'll be
the women's wouldn't be a multi-tag; it'd just be a multi-woman.
A multi-woman, like a over-the-top rope kind of thing.
No, like just a fatal 4-way or something, or a 6-pack challenge or something like that.
Okay, and the men's would be a tag, correct?
Yes. Okay, but it also could be a fatal 4-way tag or whatever.
Yeah. Okay. So, I mean, how do you guys feel about that, though? Do you like the idea of that being in place at WrestleMania 30? I know, we see tag matches, but we don't get a chance, I don't think, as of recently, to see a whole lot of multi-man tags when it comes to WrestleMania.
I'd be completely down for a multi-man tag team title match this year. I think it'd be a great way to show off the tag division. Obviously, you would have Usos and the Outlaws, and I'm sure they'd throw in the Rhodes Brothers and whoever else if they wanted to throw. Yeah, the Wyatts if they wanted to. And I think you could have a really great match.
I could have swore we saw that match at Night of Champions, but that's just me. I could have swore we saw that, but it was Rhodes Brothers as champions, and it was Usos, Wyatts, and somebody
Tons of
else.
Punk, I think, right?
Yeah, I think so.
Either way, good way to show off the tag division. When it comes to the divas, I don't know if you have 3 or 4 divas that you could really put together. I mean, I'm sure they could throw something together, but preferably if you can't do AJ and Naomi, I think AJ Tamina is a good way to go and just let them go. But I'm never opposed to watching Natalya in the ring. I don't know who else they would throw in, maybe. So.
I mean, if Naomi's not ready, I can definitely see Natalya getting pushed back up there, even though she's been doing nothing but like NXT work lately, other than when she's on Total Divas. I mean, this could be one of those times where you could, if they really wanted to, which they're not doing, they have her doing comedy stuff. If they had pushed Emma seriously, they could have had Tamina, Emma, AJ, and Naomi, or throw in Natalya, or throw in just somebody, to just kind of make that a 4-person, or just triple threat or something. I don't know what they're going to be. Obviously, I don't think they're going to have 2 triple threats, even if it's women to men's. It's more likely that we'll see a tag team, multiple, and then a 4 or 5 or 6 diva one, just to kind of give all the divas something to do. I could see both Bellas and Tamina and I guess, I don't know if Maria Menounos is doing anything. I guess she could try to get in there. She's not half bad.
Make her yearly appearance.
Yeah. As long as she's not inducting someone, that apparently gets the ire of the fans.
Oh boy.
That was terrible, honestly. She didn't deserve that.
No, poor lady. It happens though. So, and we're talking about these man tags and, the multi-person tags, and I think it'd be kind of interesting to see, just because that means that they're going to use more stars. We're going to get to see more people than we usually do. It was just so sad last year when we missed out on tons of Funk, and they missed their opportunity and, really get to shine. And I hope that this doesn't come down to that as well, of, adding all these stars and then you get, disappointed because a match runs long. So it'll be interesting. The build up to WrestleMania is right now. We'll know more as time goes on. But until later on, we will cover more news on Monday, guys. It's been fun. I've had a lot of fun tonight. We've had a great NXT Arrival discussion and talked a little bit about the network and some big news. So I think we covered almost everything we can cover. Any last things you want to talk about? And besides that, I know, Sean, you probably want to run down a few things we're going to be doing on Monday.
I'm good. Go for it, Sean.
Go order the network, people. It's worth it.
Yes.
Other than that, we do have a show on Monday night. We do it every Monday night, midnight Eastern. Wrestling to the Max. It'll be episode 80. Can you believe it? 80 episodes already, guys. That's a lot. I know there's a ton of people that have been doing it a lot longer than we have, but still, that's cool that we got to 80 episodes. Doing that Raw review, doing TNA Impact, NXT we won't be doing, but we'll figure out something else to do in that spot. Whatever news has happened since then, and we'll have to figure out a topic, I guess, for that as well. But it should be interesting. Make sure you tune in for that. You can always call live as well. You could have called today, I forgot to mention, the 972-591-8636. Use your phone to call us while the show's going on live. Hopefully we'll start at our normal time, like around 12:30 Eastern, not 1 or 1:30. That way there is a chance you could call. You can also chat with us in the Spreaker chat. If you have your portable device that you like to use, download the Spreaker app and find us there. Wrestling to the Max, search for that, or search for Sean and Gary, find it. And then you can press that speech bubble and chat with us as well. Make sure you can also listen to us on demand and all those other places I listed in the beginning of the show, or not beginning, like the middle of the show somewhere. So, yeah, make sure you listen on Monday, because that's the full show. That's what you get. Just like NXT Arrival was the thing to get you pumped for what you see every week. Hopefully this gets you interested in to listen to what we normally do on Mondays with the full show,
Definitely.
And of course we have Football to Football on Tuesday. We'll be talking about what happened at the Oscars, and which is on Sunday, by the way. I haven't really I don't think I've seen one movie that was nominated for the Oscars this year, other than Frozen is about to come in the mail for me, but I won't get it before the Oscars happen, obviously, because I think the 3rd is when they charge you for that. And then, we'll be talking about all the stuff that's happened in sports since then. We didn't have one last week. We apologize, because we kind of had to. I had some stuff going on, and we just couldn't have it last week. So we got 2 weeks worth of stuff to talk about, and that's going to be a fun show to do. And of course, if you haven't noticed, Saturdays, midnight Eastern, cooperative multiplayer is there. Me and Robert have been kind of taking turns hosting. We talk about video games that we played, all that kind of stuff. That's always fun for us to do on Saturday nights. Hopefully Daniel will be back, so it's not just me and Robert me laughing at all his jokes, and it sounds terrible. Randall will be back at some point. As I mentioned last week, he did have the baby, but he had to cancel his solo podcast that he does about wrestling on Wednesday nights because it's just too much for him, and we've been there. It is a lot to go through. No sleep, and baby getting up every 2 or 3 hours. You just feel like you can never do anything. So I don't blame the poor guy, and he works a rough job too. So
Yeah, it's a lot of work. It really is. So best wishes to him and his family. But yeah, you're right, Sean. Everybody join us, and there's a lot to listen to. So
and I have no idea when's the next time we're gonna do one of these either. So
no, we don't. And you know what? These are special, and I want to tell all our fans out there who listen on a regular basis, hey, if you want to share something special with your friends, I'm sure we'll get this YouTube clip maybe on our Facebook page. That way, you can just share it. You can share it on to your other friends who are wrestling fans. You can say, hey, man, this podcast is something you might be interested in. They talked about NXT Arrival. It's just a good way for you to be able to share the show around, and we want to make it easy for you guys to find it. So, hey, continue to listen, and we hope you had a great week, and we will talk to you guys on Monday again. But until then, if you're not living life to the max,
you're not living life at all.
You know it.